When I was working in hospice, I noticed something. Families who had a funeral, a service, a ritual, a container for their grief, a place to put it. People came, they brought food, they told stories. Something happened that said, this matters. But as pet owners, most of us went home to an empty house with no container at all. No service, no gathering, no structure, and a leash that still smells like them. A food bowl that's still on the floor because you can't bring yourself to move it. A doorway that they should be walking through and they're not. And nobody tells you what to do with that. Nobody tells you how to hold your grief that size in a world that says, it was just a pet. So today we're going to talk about pet memorial ideas, but not the Pinterest kind. Not the 10 cute things to do with a paw print. We're going to talk about memorials that actually hold your grief. Because here's what I wish someone had told me years ago when my Joey died. The memorial isn't the point. What the memorial does for your grief, that's the point. So here's what happens. You lose your pet, someone says, make a memory box. I'm sure they mean well, and they do. So you try. You put their collar in there, you put their favorite toy, a photo where they look adorable or ridiculous, tongues out, ears flopping everywhere, and then you close the box and you still feel hollow. And then you think, what's wrong with me? Why didn't this help? I did the thing, I made the memorial, and I still can't stop crying. So let's name what actually happens, because naming it reduces shame. And I think there's a lot of unnecessary shame in pet grief. The box isn't broken. You're not broken. The problem is that nobody told you why you were making it. Nobody said the memorial isn't a cure. It's not going to make you stop missing them. What it does, if it's the right memorial for you, it gives your grief somewhere to live that's outside of your body. Because grief doesn't care about being polite. It needs somewhere to go. And if you don't give it a container, it stays in you, in your chest, in your stomach, in the weight you carry around all day without knowing why. That's what a memorial is, a container. And the right container matters. If you're someone who needs to touch something, a memory box you close and put on a shelf might not reach you. If you need to talk about them, a garden stone alone won't be able to do it. If you need other people to acknowledge your loss, something you do by yourself might leave you just feeling even more alone. So today, we're going to walk through 3 kinds of memorials, not ranked, not best to worst, 3 different functions, and you pick the one that fits where you are. Tell me in the comments if you've made a memorial for your pet. Not because I need ideas, but because I think it helps all of us to know that we're not alone in this. Now, the first kind of memorial is something that you can touch. Grief lives in the body. We say things like, my heart hurts, I feel heavy, there's a lump in my throat. And we're not being poetic, we're being literal. Grief has physical weight. And sometimes what you need isn't a thought or a conversation. Sometimes you need something solid under your fingertips. A physical anchor that says to you, they were here, they were real. And I can reach out and I can touch something that proves it. Now, there are a few ways to do this. A tree, a plant, a flower bed, something that grows. Here's why this one matters. It takes your grief and connects it to something that's alive. You're not burying your pet. You're giving the love somewhere to keep growing. It's not gone. It's just growing somewhere else. And on the hard days, you can sit next to it, water it, watch it change with the seasons. That's not nothing. Stone or a garden marker, something with their name on it. This is simple, but don't underestimate simple. There's something about seeing their name carved, permanent, that says this life mattered enough to mark. And when the disbelief hits, and it will, the part where you can't quite believe that they're gone, you have evidence. You can walk outside and touch it. A paw print or a clay impression, and for some people, this one comes up a lot. It's something you wear, a necklace with their initial, a charm that holds a little bit of their fur, something that sits against your skin. So on the hard days, the meeting you have to get through, the first holiday without them, you can reach up and touch it. Nobody has to know what you're doing, but you know. You're reminding yourself, they were here, they left a mark, and I am carrying them with me. The second kind of memorial is for the stories. And here's the part that stays with me, the hardest part of pet grief. Something that nobody warns you about, nobody talks about, is how fast the world moves on. People ask how you're doing for maybe a week, maybe 2, if you're lucky, and then the texts stop. And then you're left with this grief that still fills your whole house. But there's nowhere to put it out loud anymore. When there's no funeral, no service, nobody gathering to say, tell me about them, the stories start to fade. And that's its own kind of loss, its own kind of worry. First you lose them, then you start losing the memory of them, the exact sound of their bark, the way they tilted their head when you said walk, the ridiculous things they did that only you witnessed. And that's why story keepers matter. They make grief speakable, a memory book or a letter. Write down the stories, the ridiculous ones, the time they ate the entire birthday cake off the counter and looked at you like, what cake? The way they knew you were sad before anyone else did and just laid their head on your lap. The ugly crying in the car stories too, because when someone dies, the stories are what's left. If you don't write them down, they do start to fade. And honestly, you don't have to show this to anyone. This one's just for you. Create a shared digital album. Invite people who love them too. Family, friends, the neighbor who always had treats for them. This does 2 things. First, it gives other people permission to remember. A lot of people don't bring your pet up because they're afraid it'll make you sad, like as if you just forgot. Giving them a place to share photos says, it's okay, I want to remember. And second, on the really hard days, you can open it and see proof. They were real. They were loved. They mattered to more people than just you. A small ritual, even if it's just you. A candle, their name spoken out loud. That's a memorial. It doesn't need to be bigger than that. Light it on their birthday, on the anniversary, or on a random Tuesday when the missing hits you out of nowhere. Just a candle and their name, so the house doesn't stay silent. And I want to pause here and say, if any of this feels too heavy for you right now, don't do it. Seriously, that's the whole point. These are tools. You pick the one that fits where you are today. Grief doesn't follow a timeline, and it doesn't care if you're supposed to be feeling better by now. This isn't laziness. This is survival. The third kind of memorial addresses something that I think is the loneliest part of pet grief, the part where you're doing it entirely alone. Pet loss is one of the few griefs we're expected to process in private. There's no bereavement leave from work. There's no casserole train. Nobody gathers in the living room to say, tell me what they were like. And that silence, that isolation, it makes everything heavier. Grief shared is grief halved. The pet grief is so often carried alone. So find your people, even if it's just one person, a friend that loved your dog, a family member who gets it. And there are always people out there that get it, that get you. Light a candle together. Tell one story. Say their name. That's a container for your grief. And it's stronger because someone else is holding it with you. Give in their name, a donation to a rescue, a shelter drop-off, old blankets, food, your time. This one works because it takes your grief and it connects it to something that is alive. Your love for them doesn't stop just because they're gone. Giving it somewhere to go, to another animal who needs it, that's not moving on, that's continuity. That's love finding a new shape. Now, if there's anything I really want you to remember, the real memorial isn't the stone. It's not the box. It's not the garden or the candle. The real memorial is that you let yourself grieve it all, that you didn't push it down, that you didn't tell yourself it was just a pet and tried to move on, that you gave it space. You're not broken, you're grieving. And the fact that you're even here watching this, thinking about how to honor them, that is the memorial. That is love. It's still there. It just needs somewhere to go. I really hope that this channel can be a safe place for the parts of our grief that nobody talks about out loud. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And you're welcome to come and grieve with me anytime.